that people often do that. I'm specifically avoiding that because I've had this conversation 100,000
so
times, and that's the accusation that gets brought up. And some people do that, but I'm specifically, you can rewind the tape, I make great pains. I don't say the problem of evil, for example. I say the problem of suffering. All I'm saying is that it is unexpected, if Christianity were true, that suffering would be as it is.
Well, the way
in particular, the non-human animal suffering.
Alex is very careful here not to use the problem of evil as a proof against God because it's actually a proof for God. You can find that article on Think Catholic. And so he has shrewdly retreated to what he calls the problem of suffering. Yet even here, he can't use human suffering as a starting point, who having an existence after this life, as even medical science seems to admit today, we can simply be compensated for suffering in eternal life. And so he's decided to make his last stand here, pinned against the ropes on animal suffering, hoping that it will save his atheism, that the tree which falls on the squirrel in the forest is terrible enough and meaningless enough that it proves that God can't possibly exist. But if animals suffer, then what is the subject of their suffering? If the thing is just atoms, which the materialist must hold, then what is the name of the atom undergoing such terrible suffering, which then proves that God can't possibly exist? Suffering requires self-awareness, which ironically, Alex admits at the beginning of this conversation is unique to human beings alone, who can carry out what he calls second-order abstraction. That's Aquinas' proof for the immaterial mind. And so Alex has two options before him which he needs to choose between. Either on the one hand, he can hold that the squirrel is actually a human being with a soul and an immaterial knowing faculty, which we call the mind, which I don't think he's going to do, or he needs to drop the possibility not of pain, which is just a sensation, but of animal suffering for want of a self-aware subject. But what he can't do is what he's doing here, blurring the two together, hopefully through no fault of his own, in what becomes a sleight of hand, last-ditch attempt to argue from the point of animal pain as a way to disprove the existence of God.